Salt Lake County's district attorney has some big ideas for police reform. Today, Gill released a lengthy list of suggestions for changing laws about the use of force. Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher joins us with a look at how lawmakers are responding. Lauren.
Yeah, Max, so this is the letter right here. It is titled Policy Reform Ideas for Law Enforcement Use of Deadly Force. And within all of these pages are specific changes that Gill points out in our current Utah laws. In these 15 pages, nearly 24 ideas on how the legislature could take on police reform.
A whole variety of suggestions. They're not exhaustive, but they are geared toward starting that critical conversation. It's
a conversation that most recently landed itself at the doorstep of Salt Lake County District Attorney Gill after his justified ruling of the police shooting death of Bernardo Palacios Carbajal last week led to protests.
About just protesting and drawing attention to it. It's also about making sure that we change the laws so you can have the systemic institutional changes that you want.
The 22 suggestions Gill sent to every state lawmaker include potential changes to state laws like limiting when officers can claim self-defense and when use of force is considered justified, require using the least lethal force available, allow prosecutors to convene grand juries when an officer uses deadly force, and limit or get rid of qualified immunity for excessive force cases in state courts. Gill also lays out ideas for agency policies and training requirements.
These are broad issues, but they touch on different aspects, which all sort of go back to the core issue of transparency, accountability, training.
Some lawmakers like Lee Perry, who retired from the Utah Highway Patrol this year, read Gill's document as soon as it came out.
I think there's going to be some bills that encourage more training on the part of law enforcement. That's not a bad thing. Law enforcement is in support of more training.
He says many police agencies already have some of Gill's suggested policies in place, but says there are some worthy of looking at.
There are a few in there that will be talked about during the interim, and I think that there's several on that list that already have bill files that have been pre-filed by legislators that will be dealt with during the next session.
Now, Gill's letter comes on the heels of those protests, some of which were here just last week. We asked Gill when he started working on this. He said this has actually been a discussion for a couple of years and that he did start working on this before those protests were ever happening. Live in Salt Lake City, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.